that's my personal sport in life. And also that's my mission. It took me 15 years to get here, and a lot of my own challenges and things I've been going through. I was happy thinking that I'm in my mission at that point, which I wasn't. It wasn't bringing me much money in the beginning at all because I couldn't ask my friends to pay me, you know. From country to country, situation is different because, of course, our mass media is not interested in unity. I could say everything is energy. Absolutely everything was energy.
Thank you very much for accepting invitation to this interview. And first of all, I would like to start with your introduction. So can you please describe what you're doing, what kind of services you're offering to the people? And a little bit your background.
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. It's an honor, and I'm very grateful to share with the English-speaking audience a little bit about myself. So what I'm currently doing, I'm helping people feel more empowered and helping them come back to who they really are and realize that they're capable of much more than they're used to think. So last year, around 1,500 people were on my paid classes every month. And that's only Russian-speaking audience around the world. So
15,000. 15,000.
We are now in top 1% of GetCourse, which is the main Russian platform. So we have, I'm honored to say that we have grown quite a bit in the last few years. And I'm very happy to realize through this that a lot more people now than before are questioning who they really are and, you know, what they can do. And so they're starting to look for ways to expand their intuition, their capabilities, you know, their connection with spirit guides and their power to change their situations and even their health, etc. And I'm very honored also to share that through the techniques that I teach on my courses, and they're mostly spirituality connected courses, although I do have background in traditional psychology, I have master's degree in psychology, and I definitely integrate that basic scientific knowledge in my courses, but I went much deeper than that. It's been more than 15 years of my personal spiritual path, but not only my personal spiritual path, of being truly a researcher of how things work, of how our consciousness works, of what can really help get results in physical reality, because I'm not interested in just flying away in ecstatic feelings, leaving this world basically, going on the inside, because some people perceive spirituality as such, as a door outside of this uncomfortable physical reality, and I don't think that's the best way to go. The best way is to expand to higher levels of your own self and then change your life here in this reality to make it better. And so I'm very practical in my approaches. And through my path, I've been all over the place. I mean, I've received spiritual experiences in Mexico, you know, hanging out with shamans. And then in India, in Nepal, I received initiations through masters of different traditions, different religions. I also went to the Western world to study with channels. And so I've been truly investigating and without any specific limits, like it was both, all of it, Buddhism, Hinduism, spirituality through channeling, Christianity, etc., etc. So I've also been traveling around the world. Now it's 60 countries, visiting power spots of the planet, channeling information in those power spots, receiving downloads. And so through this path, I was able to expand my consciousness to the level where I receive information. I can read energy fields. I can help people understand their situations, their karmic lessons, and have a deeper understanding of things in general. And not only could I get to this point, but I teach people how to do it in their life. So I do teach channeling. I do teach transformation as a skill, as a set of specific activities that a person can do in any situation in life to help change it, to turn it around. And I'm very fortunate because my students have been able to receive amazing results through their practices. I mean, we have cases, medically proven cases of people solving issues with their health, such as tumors, such as not being able to get pregnant, and other different stories that people really made something impossible, at least by the version of their doctors, And so that's part of the story, the physical results. And of course, I just mentioned health now, but we have changes in the level of income, the situations in life, solving relationship problems, etc. Because the techniques I teach, they're not specific to a certain area of life. They can be used in all areas, so people receive results in all areas. But mainly it's all connected to seeing picture from a different, higher perspective. Because as Einstein said, you cannot solve the problem at the level where it was created. You need to, go up one level at least to see the whole big picture. Yeah. And so that's pretty much what I do in my life to really understand what's going on and why this is. So I learned to look at my life through what I call the eyes of my soul. Like there's a level of my person who is inside this game, and there's a level of my soul who planned this game and who sees the bigger picture. And I teach people to do that as well. And so when you can read the field and understand what's going on, what's underneath the what we can see, and also when you can look at from the higher perspective with the help of your guides, your higher self, etc., even difficult situations become much easier to cope with, to feel more peace with, and to solve them better and faster as well. So that's my personal sport in life. And also that's my mission, and something that brings me a lot of joy and a lot of happiness to see these bright eyes when people open up their hearts. And first thing they actually get is not the results I'm talking about. First thing they actually get is this feeling of being expanded, of being more free, more happy, more whole, and in contact with themselves, basically, when they let go of all these boxes that they put themselves into and come back to themselves. This is like a whole new life. Even if it didn't change immediately, physically, they feel it differently. And with their shining eyes, when I see it, our end of the course graduation events, so much love, so much gratitude, so much expansion. It does make me happy. It does make me feel that I'm doing something right and I'm on my path the way it should be. Of course, it took me 15 years to get here, and a lot of my own challenges and things I've been going through myself to learn. One of the teachers who really helped me understand my mission was Steve Rother, one of my teachers. Long time ago, when I was still in the corporate world, which was a part of my path, and I was pretty successful there. I could really make a good career. It was already going one of the fastest in Russia at that point. And when I realized that I don't want to sell my life even for good amount of money, that there's something bigger for me there. So I had a session with him, a channeling session, and he told me, "You are a teacher for teachers." And at that point, that was foreign language for me. Like, what do you mean? And later when I was coming back to myself, doing a lot of things, traveling the world, meeting people, doing a lot of meditation and different practices, and then coming in contact with my own spirit guides, it all came together, and this is what it is now, my reality. I have a lot of people coming to me who already serve as some kind of specialist for other people, or they become such when they wake up to their abilities. And so it's a ripple in the water that keeps expanding. It's not just my work, then it's work of my students, and on and on. It makes me really happy to be a part of this.
Interesting. But was that the trigger for you? When you heard that you will become teacher for the teachers, was that a trigger for decision to leave the company which you are working at and start a new path for you?
It wasn't. I already made that decision at that time when I heard this. So I already felt in my heart that this is not my path. I had a conflict of values with the company. Like what they were doing was not in harmony with my heart. And so after putting a few years of my life in this corporate world, creating quite a large impact at what I could impact, I then felt that I'm no longer willing to continue this. So I left the company and I had my vision of what I could do. Like at that time, I thought, okay, I'm good at managing. I'm good at creating teams. That's what I was doing in the company. And so I created first my first project was in St. Petersburg. We opened up a space for co-creation, for various practices, for yoga, psychology workshops, creative workshops, breath work, etc. So we opened up with my friends this space, and I thought that's already me doing my mission. I already created a space for people, and they're already going through their transformation, and I'm part of this, part of this change. And so I was happy thinking that I'm in my mission at that point, which I wasn't. And so he told me that. But the decision to leave the company was already done at that point.
Okay. But do I understand correct that you were teaching yoga and...
No. I only organized the space. It was my project, but I invited other people to teach there. And so they worked there, and I attended myself some of the classes which I felt like attending. But I did exactly... management part of it, I wasn't teaching. But at one point, after around maybe 2 years with this project, I was at next workshop of, somebody teaching in our club. And I was listening to the master who was teaching and coming to a conclusion that I can do it better. And it wasn't my ego acting up. It was my soul with all that was inside wanting to share, and it slowly brought me to understanding that that's the path I actually want to take when I'm ready. And of course, it took me some time to get there, another year actually. But at one point, I had no more options. I had to start. Yeah.
Okay. But then did you start by your own, or you had, friends, colleagues who were supporting you from the beginning? How did you start that as the next step?
My start was natural. I was going through different classes, workshops, learning techniques, and I was curious to try them out on my friends. So after every workshop, after every technique, I was coming back and sharing what I have learned and trying the techniques, working with people. And so they knew that I could do some things for them because of that, And so eventually it was word of the mouth. It was just my circle of friends mostly. They were my first clients. And of course, it wasn't bringing me much money in the beginning at all because I couldn't ask my friends to pay me, you know. And after I felt that I was imbalance because of that, and I had to ask them to pay donation what they felt like as a gratitude, you know. So it was a gradual process of learning and going through the transition. And my first workshop actually also happened very naturally. One of my friends who was also she went through a lot of changes in her life due to our friendship. So she was, you know, she received a lot of support from me on her path. And so one day she just initiated me. She said, I'll get a group together, just come and do a workshop for us, you know. And so she brought together some people and organized it at her own house. And all I had to do was to show up and share. And I did, and I liked it. And so then I started organizing my own workshops. And a few years later, I started doing it online. So it was a natural process. I never looked at it as a business project in the beginning. Only later, when it started becoming much bigger, I had to look at it as a business project because I already had teams. I had to balance money and all of that, you know, so I had to start being more adult in how I treated this. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. How big are your team now?
Well, I have around 80 people working with me. I mean, not all of them are employees, but around 80 people are involved in this process.
Okay. And how you're recruiting, or this is, you probably have some kind of HR in your team?
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
No.
so you're not doing that
No,
by your
not
own.
me. I don't even know everybody in my team now personally.
But you have producer right now, right? I think I saw some interview.
Yeah, I do.
But not for the long time.
Well, I experimented with empowering myself through a professional for some time, but my previous experiences weren't very successful. Like producers would take half of the profit without expanding the result. So I had about 3 different trials which weren't successful before this one, and this one finally was the right match of intentions, right match of skills and competencies, and also values, communication, etc. So at every level, it came together, and so now it's. I'm very grateful for this partnership because this expansion that happened in my life in the last 3 years was, in a great extent, done through this partnership. So I'm very grateful to him.
Okay. So you started with the offline projects, offline workshops first, then you transit that to the online, and now you're offering different transitional courses for the people. I saw that you were organizing a festival somewhere,
that's also
and probably you're running some workshops offline as well right now, or this is mostly online courses?
Well, right now online is much more because this way it's possible to reach a lot more people than offline in the first place, and it's much easier to organize. Offline, it's more intense, it's more expensive, and it's less people. So through all of that, much easier to do everything online now. And offline, of course, has a very special feeling of being present, of being able to look in the eyes, to hug, to feel this field of combined energies of people who came with the same intent. So I love that as well, but we do it a lot less because in terms of profit, like when we do a festival, last year we did 400, for something around 350 people, which, I mean, It's not that big. It's just my students. I mean, we didn't make big advertising. We just invited who could come to Russia at this time. And of course, some people cannot come to Russia because they live in other countries. Some people had plans for this weekend, etc., etc. So only 350 people could come. And of course, it's a very strong field energy. It's very strong experiences for people. One of the participants even shared that she's never felt so much in connection with God anywhere in any temple than she felt it in that area, which for me, again, it's very special. And so I do enjoy creating that special energy. But the cost involved in organization of such event usually brings it to zero profit.
Okay.
So, I mean, because I want to make it available to people, not too expensive, you know. So we do it. We do it every year. This year we're also planning to do it in around August, beginning of August. But it's not the focus at this point. In terms of personal events, I enjoy creating tours, visiting power spots of the planet. And this is also a great opportunity to be together for a period of time, to practice together, and also enjoy the beautiful sceneries, amazing places, special energies, getting to know other cultures. And so that's also a big and important part of my work for me, because every tour brings you back different person than you left. Every tour. I mean, I've been doing it for many years, but still, it's expansion every single time, and not just for the participants, for me as well. And so I love this area of my work as well. And we're shortly going to Japan and then to China. And then I have some trips planned also. For the summer, we are going to Iceland, to Germany. In Germany will be a retreat format. Iceland will be a tour. So, and then there'll be more coming because, you know, we have to plan in advance. But there are definitely opportunities to learn in person. But in terms of specific courses, specific knowledge, much more effective to do it online, because you can do it no matter where you are, and you can practice and do the group work, the work in pairs, regardless of location, time, anything, and it's very comfortable and convenient.
What is the difference between tours and retreats? Because this is you're separating them, right?
Yes, absolutely. This is different, of course. Tours means we are changing locations almost every day. We are focusing on getting to know the place, getting to know the country, the power spots, the culture. And there is a context of spiritual practice because we do meditations and channels in certain parts, but it's not as much as in retreat. For example, in a one day, we can do one, maybe two meditations, mostly one, because we just, for example, we move around to a certain place and then if we can do meditation there, and then we just interact freely throughout the tour, but it's not focused on specific result. Whereas retreat is, even the name says it, retreat, you go away from the world in certain setup. And in retreat setting, you don't move around. You stay in one place, specially set up for this retreat, and you focus on certain results that you came there for. Maybe if it's a meditation retreat, you want to go deeper in your practice, or receive some insights, or calm your mind, or retreats can be focused on different things. But the key is, on retreat you're focused on the inside and on spiritual practice, and it takes most of the day, the plan of the retreat, and you're not moving around. You're not trying to figure out what's going around you. You're all inside. Whereas when you travel, when you're on a tour, it's completely different. So, it is a different format.
Yeah, understand. Okay. When it comes to different countries, because you're traveling a lot, you're visiting different places, so you're bringing people with you also, and you're meeting people from different cultures as well. Can you please tell about your view on the global situation? When it comes to spiritual growth, first of all, if you see some similarities or differences between different countries?
What I see is that the world becomes more open, more transparent. From country to country, situation is different because, of course, our mass media is not interested in unity. But when it comes to talking with real people, everywhere I go, I see the same pattern that people don't want to buy in the lies of media. They want to live their life happily. And I mean, I went to Israel a few years ago and I talked to people who live there, and they were saying, we don't care, Israeli, Palestinians, we're all friends. We talk, we make friends with families and etc. And this is all politics, the conflict, this is all politics. And no matter where I go, it's all the same. People want to be who they are. They want to be happy. They want to grow. They want to learn. They want to expand. And so what we see in the media doesn't always correlate with what I experience when I'm present there, even, even when I was in Bali, I lived there for 5 years. When I just arrived there, there was a small volcano, almost erection, but not exactly, with volcano Agung in Bali. And of course, there was a lot of fear going through media about that, like the island is getting evacuated and blah, blah, blah. And, a lot of people evaporated from the island immediately, like they just left. And I saw Agung right from my villa. I could see all the processes and I felt absolutely calm and peaceful knowing that it's all going to be absolutely fine and well. And it was exactly that. It was just 2 days of a little bit of activity, but nothing else happened. But when I compared the reality where I was physically and I could see what was going on to what was in the media, I mean, they expanded this so much worse than it was, and they do it with everything, absolutely everything. So basically, the idea is better to get to know the world through your own eyes than through watching the news, that's for sure. And getting to know the world through my own eyes, I see that people have much more in common than they have differences. No matter what culture, no matter what religion, we all want the same things. We all want to be happy. We all want to be loved, to love. We all want to do something good for the world. And we want to give, even professionally, I mean, people want not only to make money, but they want to feel that they're doing something important, that they're making an impact. And it's all the same for everybody. So underline is we're all human and we all are souls here. Yeah, playing in different roles, playing in different countries, in different cultures, but it doesn't matter after all. And so I see that there are two layers of what's happening in the world. On one end, there is all this pressure that's coming from politicians, from media, from a lot of lies that are out there, trying to separate people and doing a lot of other things. I mean, I don't believe in this whole agenda of humans being dangerous to the planet. And I mean, there are enough of scientists who also prove it. And the same is with all this disease threats, etc., etc. So I see that there are like plans of those who are in power to test us if we can or want or ready to be enslaved, but this is also a great opportunity for growth, because what I see is that because of all this pressure, a lot of people are waking up. A lot of people are asking questions. A lot of people are seeing that this is all lies. Okay, I'm not saying everybody. Yes, there are people sleeping deep and believing all of that. That's fine. But a lot of people are waking up. And I'm very happy to notice that no matter where I go to, when I start talking to locals, I find that they see things wider. They ask questions. They're looking for answers. They are interested to see a bigger perspective, and they're also interested to feel that they are capable not only to cope with all that's happening, but also to grow through all of this. And so to me, this is also a beautiful process. As hard as it is in many ways, it is a beautiful process of waking up. It's that transformational period where the earth is changing, the human systems are changing, but through all of this is this deep awakening that's taking place, and I absolutely can see this. And also just the popularity of spirituality in the world. I mean, I know in some countries it's more so than in others, but in general it's growing from what I see, and it's because we need it now more than ever. We need to see through all the lies. We need to have instruments to help us cope. We need to have support to go through this transformation. And so there are a lot of teachers now, and a lot of techniques and practices and ways to change yourself. And it's great and wonderful. Like I'm not one of those teachers who's saying only my path is right. I don't believe in that. There are so many of us, and each one is different, and each technique works differently, and one technique will help one person, will fit one person and not work with another person. And so we have all this variety so we can find the best solution for each person, you know. So I'm very happy to be a part of this process, and I also I'm also happy to see that there are a lot of other people who are doing this work, because a lot of work needs to be done. And it's good that there are more and more people waking up, and also more and more people helping others to wake up. I lived in the US for some time as well. Yes, I lived in the States for 5 years. I lived in Europe for about half a year.
Okay.
I lived in Indonesia 5 years. So I do feel rather international in my mindset because of that, and also traveling new countries every year for already a long time. So, yeah, but I mean, it was a while ago, and that wasn't when I started. Yeah.
But now you're living in Russia, right?
Correct.
And you moved here, I don't know, last year?
Yeah, a year ago.
I
moved back.
Yeah. Can you tell us about decision? Because this is quite a huge decision, I would say, and especially now in this situation in the world. But what is behind this decision? What is the reason?
There are many reasons, actually. Well, interesting observation that I see is that now a lot of people who immigrated from Russia back in the 90s or before and after are now coming back. That's what I see, and it's more and more so because people were looking for better life when it wasn't so great here in the 90s. And then over time, they realized that right now, here it's a lot more. They find more of valuable things here, and again, they're ready to leave their set up lives back in where they were in Europe, or States, or Canada, or it doesn't matter, and go back to Russia, because now Russia does have a lot of opportunities. I mean, I believe honestly that Russia has one of the best educations. I mean, it's worse now, I'll be honest. It's worse now than it was when I was going to school. But I do remember that when I came to the States and I was finishing up high school there and then went to college, based on the tests, I passed to class where kids were 2 years older than I was, and I still finished one of the at the top of the list in terms of academics. in a foreign language as well, you know. And my English was good enough so that natives were bringing me their homework so I could check the grammar because I knew it better. You know, so that tells something. Same with my husband. My husband, I mean, he's my third husband, so it wasn't like we spent all life together. We're only 3 years together. But he also had his own story when he went to... His family immigrated to Belgium when he was 12. And so he went to school with zero knowledge of language. But he was surprised that things that they went through, like in math or other things that he could understand, were something that he learned some time before, and it was all easy. So same experience. And of course, now things shifted a little bit. I think Soviet education was much better, and I received a little bit of that. But still, I believe in Russian education system, and that was one of the reasons. Second reason, comparing to Indonesia, Russia has a much better health. Health support clinics, etc., more professional. In Indonesia, we had big problems with my son's health because of the quality of medical care. But more so for me, it's not only about... I mean, Russia also has low taxes. When I tell my foreign friends how much I pay in taxes, they're amazed because, okay, in Russia, I can pay only 7% taxes, whereas if I was in Europe, how much would I pay? 25 or 50, 50 up to 50? Yeah. So when I can share that here, it's much less. People are shocked. So there is a number of things that make it a good option for those who are comfortable with the language, who can cope with the culture, etc. I mean, it's not for everybody. But surprisingly, even non-Russian speaking foreigners now come to Russia and feel amazed because, of course, what they hear in the media and the reality is not matching, So yeah, there is that wave of people coming back to Russia, definitely. But for me, it's not about that. For me personally, of course, yes, there was this longing on the side of my husband who wanted to come back and live in Russia. He spent 28 years of his life in Belgium, which is most of his life, He's 43 now. But there was this longing to come back to roots, basically. But for me, it wasn't that. For me, it's another process of just knowing my soul contracts. Because I know every time when I move, for how long I'm going there, why I'm going there, etc., etc. So a year before we left Bali, I was thinking, okay, we're staying, I love it, we're going to buy land, we're going to build a house and enjoy our lifestyle there. But the guides told me that, no, we're finishing up. So you have 1 more year to get things done. And then they were showing Russia as the next step. And now I understand why. Like now, a year later, I see things that are happening here that are really important soul contracts for me. And so they wouldn't happen if I wasn't here. And at the same time, it's very important for our kids now to have this experience of, studying in different countries, in different cultures, different languages. And I see how they now have grown a lot, have matured a lot through this. So we are just fulfilling our own soul plans at this point. But I also know when moving back to Sochi, I also knew immediately that the length of this period of us being here is only from 2 to 5 years. At this point, for us, this is how it is. And now I would estimate 2, 3 years, so maybe it's even shorter. But the key thing is there is a soul plan that guides you, and some people go just as it goes without having that connection of being able to consciously understand. For me, because I have that, I immediately know how things are. At least the plan in general. I mean, not in every detail, that's not possible, but in the plan in general. So when I do see the next levels, the next places, the next projects that are coming up, and the ones that I'm getting ready for now, and going through my what I need to accomplish in Russia. So for me, again, it's a different perspective from the soul level. It's not because one country is better than the other, because for me it's not like that. Every country has its own set of experiences that we need to go through, a set of soul contracts that we need to fulfill, people we need to meet, things we need to do. And when it's done, it's done. Bali is amazing. I love Bali. And most people ask, why would you leave Bali? Everybody wants to live in Bali,
Yeah, it's true.
But for me, Bali is done. I lived it through. 5 years was enough, And I knew immediately that if I was going after just my comfort zone, that I love it there and it's comfortable for my body, it's comfortable for my spirit, I knew that I would stagnate. There was this specific point that I knew that I cannot stay, because my soul takes me to the next step on my path, and I need to follow. And if we don't follow those kind of intuitive guidelines, then we start getting negative feedback from the world. And I know how that works. So I don't get to that point usually. I try not to resist change. If I feel time for change, I go with it, and I don't resist change. Well, most of the time. Sometimes my personality still acts up, but I try to work it through it as soon as I can. So, yeah, there are reasons at all levels for this, but again, it's not a permanent setup. I feel myself more, I feel as a international person, like I said. So for me, yes, Russia is my homeland. Yes, it's where my roots are. It's where I received my education. It's where most of my clients are from, etc., etc. And I love it. But at the same time, it doesn't matter. For me, personally, what matters is me fulfilling my path, fulfilling the plan of my spirit. And if I need to be in another place for my next step, I'll be there.
Yeah, good. But why Sochi? Did you live here before?
No, never.
No? But why Sochi, not
Well, it was a natural decision. What happened was on my previous birthday, before that decision, that was a year and a half ago, we were at a restaurant with my family, and I decided to ask a question with my family, with the kids and my husband, of where they would prefer to live if there was no limits, like if they could choose any place in the world and what it could be. And I was just listening and noting for myself what they were answering. And so one said that I would love to live in the mountains. I mean, it doesn't matter where, I just love living in the mountains. Another said, I want to live by the sea and it's warm and it's somewhat tropical or, green. Another said, I want to live and have Russian-speaking people around me. And so combining all the requests, it was only one place that fit them all, and it was Sochi. And I previously visited Sochi a few times, and I also had some friends who lived here. So having friends here was an easy transition as well. And I mean, I do like the climate here. After 5 years in Bali, I was a bit hesitant in terms of, coming back to cold climate. So here it's very nice and soft. And so Sochi just, again, happened naturally.
Yeah. Interesting. So you didn't consider Europe at all before you took this decision?
No, I mean, considering that my husband is a Belgian citizen, it was absolutely easy to go and live there. But I wasn't interested, and neither is he. I mean, we've had enough of Europe in our life. I mean, we love coming there. We love being, I mean, we go there every year. Of course, my husband has things to do. He still has business there. I love traveling in Europe. I mean, it's beautiful. It's amazing. It has a lot of great things about it. But living, I don't feel it. It doesn't appeal to me at all.
Okay. Yeah. So your children are living here with you right now, here in Sochi. But when it comes to children, what I would like to ask you, for example, if some person start spiritual path, so to say, and the person does have children then and would like to introduce this to children, do you have any recommendation how to start, what to do, maybe to give some books? I don't know. I mean, it's like it will be a little bit strange if you come to your child and say, oh, we are starting with meditation, for example.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. What is the natural way? Can you give some recommendations for the parents?
Sure. I believe that everything should be, like you said, natural. It shouldn't be forced in any way, because then there will be definitely resistance and you will receive exactly the opposite of what you want. So that's not the path. The path is to understand, first place, that children at their period of lifespan, they are focused on other things. Their most important focus is learning to operate their body at a younger age and learning to find yourself in a social context at teenage time. And so they are focused on the outer world. That's what they need to be doing to be effective in life, and so we don't need to shift them on the inside, because this will actually not help them in their path. What we can do is, respecting their period of their growth, put a little bit of accents of ideas, and absolutely naturally, depending on the context. For example, my son used to have problems with bad dreams when he was younger, and that's how I taught him that there could be spiritual protection practice, because when I did this energy work before bed, he felt much more comfortable and he didn't have bad dreams. So he learned to feel energies. Actually, one time there was even a funny situation when he was upset at me, so he was in resistance, but he also was nervous about maybe having bad dreams again, and I offered him to do this energy work, and he said, no, I don't want to, because he was upset at me. And I at that point did something which I should have done, probably shouldn't have done, probably, but I tried to open up energy without telling him. And he felt it. He said, Mom, I told you not to do it. Why are you doing this? So through this situation that we've been going through, he expanded his feelings, that he could sense when there was energy coming to him. And so he learned to cleanse his energy space through that. And then later, when my husband's daughter became a part of our family, there was a moment when she couldn't sleep at night because we moved to a new villa, and I forgot to cleanse it energetically, because in all rooms it seemed fine. But it turned out that in her room specifically, the energy wasn't that great. And every night she felt that there was something happening in the room, and she couldn't sleep. She had to turn off the lights so she could feel, better. And so then eventually we found out about this. Of course, at first she was hesitant to share this, but eventually we found out. And so I showed her how to cleanse the space, and we did it together. And so, and then she started sleeping well and without the light on, and so it's just practical things. I'm not teaching them everything that I teach in my courses. It doesn't make any sense. But when they need some practical spirituality and it can really help them, it's part of their life, And sometimes we talk about things like, about values. This is also part of spirituality, about honesty, about about certain karmic consequences of this and that, and past lives, karma, all of that is part of a conversation. It's not the focus. It's not like, oh, we need to sit down and talk about this and that. It's not formal, But when they discuss things, I show them, look, for example, when you watch a movie, and there's a difficult situation in the movie because the person has something coming up of like psychological nature, and when we discuss, I tell them, look, if at this point he could help himself through specific psychological instruments, this whole story would change completely, So, and it's all implemented. It's all part of life. It's natural. It's not any kind of formal, let's learn meditation kind of thing, So then there's no resistance to this, So I'm not trying to make them specifically spiritual or anything else. I just try to help them see the world better, wider, and then what they do with this later, it's their choice. I trust them to go through their path the way they want to because they're sovereign souls. And I don't have a target to make them meditating yogis when they grow up, That's not the task. Every soul is going through evolution process regardless of going to spirituality or not. Evolution takes place through situations, through the ways how a person copes with different challenges in life, etc., etc. And so what I'm trying to do is trying to be an example to my kids of how you can cope, of how you can go about conflicts. For example, when I do something wrong, I come up to my kids and say, hey, sorry, that wasn't right. Let's discuss this. And I see that this could have been done better on my end, and this could have been done better on your end, So we're open. And so I just try to be an example and to naturally put these seeds in them. And when they'll be ready to grow these seeds, it will be all their path because they are sovereign souls and they will have to go through their own things in life. And maybe when they will need to, they will remember some of the things we discuss. But I don't make this a focus that if I'm doing spiritual work, they have to be all spiritual. And it's just not natural like that.
I understand. But do you see that it might come some kind of transformational courses for the children in the future? Maybe that are already, I don't know.
I do receive such questions sometimes. I don't feel it's my mission to work with children. I'm not saying for sure no. I mean, I don't know. Maybe one of these days I will feel like it, But so far, I feel that we can do much better as adults if we are more harmonious ourselves. And most of the problems that kids have are connected with how adults behave. So if I help adults become more conscious, more happy, it automatically helps the children. So that's how I perceive this situation for me, for what I can do.
Do you have children on your retreats or tours?
Sometimes. I mean, I don't take young children, mostly teenage.
With parents then, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course.
Okay. What's about your teachers? You were mentioning one of your teachers in the beginning of this interview. Can you tell maybe about your teachers? Because I believe you have different ones. And also interesting to hear about the teachers which you are following. I don't know.
Like I said, I had teachers in the East and in the West. And the ones that had most impact on me were Steve Rother, Ray Kelly, who I worked with a few years as a translator and as an organizer in Russia, and still do actually. I mean, my team does. And channeled books were, at some point, were very important in my path, and I haven't met every one of them personally, but I do consider them my teachers, definitely. There was one who I don't even know the name of. He's a Buddhist monk, but he gave me a great gift that really served my path. It's an interesting story. It was in my first trip to Nepal, and we were meditating in a Buddhist temple. And when we were coming down, and I was in a very expanded state after the meditation still, there was this older monk who came up to me, and he didn't say a word. He just touched my forehead with his forehead, and I couldn't even do anything to react. It happened so suddenly. And then he just let me go without saying a word again. I mean, we couldn't speak same languages anyway. But what happened after he opened up my abilities, he just gave me a great gift. So the next 3 days, I could see everything around me with open eyes, without any specific actions such as meditation, etc. I could say everything is energy. Absolutely everything was energy. Somewhat like in the movie Lucy, when you can feel that, you can see that this table is not firm like this. It's actually concentrated energy. And I could say everything is colorful energy around me. I could see energy fields of people. I could see their thoughts. I could see when they lie to each other. It was amazing. It was a very beautiful experience. And in that state of mind, there was so much love flowing through me that all I wanted was to do something good for the people. But at that time, I was still in the corporate world, and so my vacation was over. So Nepal was my vacation. And when I came back to the office, so it's a Moscow city, these huge buildings, a lot of people working on each floor. And so I come back to my office, and I see that there's this very thick, heavy energy, looking like oil in the energy world, almost to the ceiling, and people walking around, sleeping, like their souls are sleeping, you know, and they were almost like robots from this point of vision. And I immediately received information that in this vibrational area where I came to, my abilities would shut down in one day. And so it happened. And of course, I couldn't just leave the building. I mean, maybe now I would say I could, but at that point, I wasn't brave enough to do that, you know. So I stayed, but that was the final drop to my decision to leave the company. And again, nothing bad about the corporate world or the company. It was my path that they showed me that I need to go on, you know. And so even though I was, you know, I had rating 1, I had really great results. I received reward that was received only by 2% of the company workers, company staff around the world. I mean, nobody wanted to let me go, but I needed to, you know, I needed to. And so again, this is one of my teachers who gave me a great gift that pushed me towards my path. And I don't even know his name. And also, a lot of what I perceive my teachers are not in the physical form. And I receive a lot of guidance from the spirit realms. And I have a lot of channeled meditations with them, recorded, also available to be purchased. And now I don't really follow a lot of physical teachers. I mean, there are many that I respect, and I'm grateful for their work in the world, but I don't need that guidance personally because of connection with the spirit guides. And if I follow somebody on Instagram, sometimes I mean you can look on my Instagram and look at my subscriptions, you know. And if there are some people there, it's mostly just to be aware of what's happening around me, you know. But not because I need to be learning. And again, I don't want to sound selfish or anything, but when I need to learn something, it comes to me naturally. And, you know, a video can come up, or I can download it through channeling, or, you know, my intuition can tell me, go there, do this, etc. So my recent few years, I feel that I get much more support from my teachers from the spiritual realms than from physical world.
Yeah, interesting. But this gift which you got then for some days, it was, right?
3 days only.
3 days.
Yeah.
This disappeared.
It disappeared in that sense, but it gave me great motivation to expand my abilities. So I don't see the world now same way as I saw it back then, but I have expanded my reading abilities quite a lot since then, and I can read the energy world. So it does require me now specific preparation. It's not like I just go and say everything, but I can read energies, So it pushed me towards opening up my abilities, definitely.
Yeah, good. But it was also interesting to hear that when you were back from your trip to your company, and then you saw that a lot of people were sleeping there. So after that, you took decision to leave. And that is what I see also right now, that when we are talking about the spiritual path and so on, that it associates a little bit that people have to leave big companies, and need to start something new if they would like to follow inner voice, so to say. Is that what you see also, or you have some other opinion regarding that?
It
I mean,
all
we need to
depends.
have companies, and we will
absolutely, absolutely. And I'm not against companies. Again, it all comes down to the soul path, specific soul path. My soul path was this. I mean, I was guided to this. It's not like, I'm against companies, because we do need this physical world to operate somehow, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful for everything. Every time I'm flying and standing in front of this registration desk in the airport, I'm so grateful to every person who is serving me there, that I can move from country to country, from place to place, And so companies are also a great place for evolution, for growth, for going. Every step we take in terms of career growth is also soul growth, because we need to expand our understandings, our wisdom, to grow career-wise. So again, I don't say that spirituality and the real world are like on two sides. It's not true. It's all interconnected. So again, it depends on the soul path. My soul path led me this way, but it doesn't mean that everybody else has to go this way. And I know a lot of examples of people combining the two worlds, working in the corporate world and having their own spiritual practice, healing business, or writing books, etc. Ray Kelly, one of my teachers, he worked in the IT industry and having a normal job for 20 years, combining it with his spiritual path, writing books, giving sessions. And he only left his career when the amount of work in the spiritual world became so overwhelming that he just needed more time for that, and he started traveling the world when he quit his company. And I see a lot of such examples. So it can be absolutely a very successful way if a person can balance. So it all depends. Even now, I meet some people who are very high up in the corporate world, who are very spiritual at the same time, who've been in the spiritual path for 20 years, etc. So it doesn't have to be an opposition.
Yeah,
it all depends on the heart and the feeling, following your own path, So I had to go this way, because if I didn't go this way, I wouldn't go into the depth that I was able to go. Because after exiting the corporate world, I went through a deep transformation, even of losing all of my money. And I went to the bottom of my emotions, of my finances, of different parts of my life. I went through 0.0 basically, but through that I found my inner light. Basically, I went through such a deep transformation where I got so much strength out of this experience that it helped me to go through every single step afterwards. So again, it was my soul path, and I needed to do it that way, but not everybody has to do it that way, for sure. I see that there will be certain realities based on the vibrations, based of the mind, on the mind, and of how people perceive. And in every one layer of these personal realities, there'll be a different situation. People who are waking up will be more and more creating more abundance, more alternative settlements, more empowered lifestyles to live happy lives regardless of what happens in the world. Like receiving their power, they'll be above all of this, whatever is happening. They will find solutions to cope with all the challenges that are coming up, you know. And I see that happening all the time. And then, of course, other people will, because of their immaturity in a way, spiritual immaturity and psychological immaturity and lack of knowledge and other things, they will buy into the separation agenda, and they will follow what is prescribed, you know, and they will be limited in many ways. I mean, all this digitalization that's taking place now. So, but it's actually, in a way, a natural process, because the ones that will exit all of this, who will have more freedom, they will just prove that they're at a higher level of consciousness. They are adults, you know, and the ones who will be dependent on the system too much and will end up being more suppressed by the system, they're just kids in psychological and spiritual way, and they don't have that strength inside to go their own path. So they'll be receiving this experience of, as kids are sometimes, you know, limited in their options. Same thing, and it's not something bad. It's not awful. I'm not judging and saying, "Hey, these guys are not mature. They're children." It's not like that. It's just natural flow of things. You know, if you grow enough and you can see through, you create another reality, and it's not connected to any specific country. It will be global. And if you go into this mindset that's shown in media, then you know you'll be more prone to being in the more limited situation. I think for us to understand how it is and how it might be, a very good idea is to read a book, which is called, the author is Tia Alexander, and the book name is Year 2150. It explains what macro consciousness is and micro consciousness is. So macro consciousness is where conscious people go to. It's seeing the world from a soul level, more so. And micro-consciousness is this little attached to material, small vision mindset that creates a completely different experience. And I think this book, it's a genius, I believe, who wrote this. I mean, I don't know who this person is, but the ideas of this book are amazingly truthful and very practically applicable in the world now, even though it was written in the 70s. So I think it will be helpful to everyone to find it and read it or listen in audio, whatever way.
But do you believe that people have to, from the different cultures, and not have, but maybe some recommendation to unite into some communities? I don't know, international communities, maybe.
A lot of people, at least around me, are very interested in this. They're looking for right opportunities. And from the 70s, there were a lot of experiments in creating such communities. Some of them were successful, some of them were not. I've been to some of these communities like Dam and Hor in Europe, in Italy, and some of them in Russia, and you know, they're all over the world. I have seen, I've had downloads more than 15 years ago about people surviving in these communities in the case of the system shut down, basically. So that's why a lot of people have these visions. But again, not everybody will feel guided or inclined to join any of those communities or to create one. As for me, there's one community now in the world, well, two, but one is more resonating with me, that I feel that at value level, at energy level, at vision level, at who the creators are, who is the community. So at every level that I can perceive at this point, that resonates with me. And I was very surprised when the guides brought me there, because I had no whatsoever plans to, when we moved to Russia, I thought, okay, we'll be creating a community here. Because I knew I would have to be a part of that, not have, maybe that's not the right wording, that I will be a part of co-creating community at some point. I've had these downloads. But I wasn't sure about the details, you know? And so when we moved to Russia, I was pretty sure that we're going to be doing it in Russia. And then all of a sudden, when we had a retreat in Costa Rica, I step on a land of a community where gave me such a strong energetic feeling of being home and of creating the energy of the new world, that I was shocked. I was like, how did you do this? You know? And I do resonate with the founders, and I've been kind of like watching what they're doing for a few years. So I believe that I'll be part of at least two communities, maybe more, eventually. But one that my soul already called me to is being built at this point, and we already also passed the process of being selected as a part of the community, and also already paid the down payment to buy land, etc. So we're working on this as well. And I do know that there will be a lot more communities coming up. A lot of people are now, for example, in Russia, buying land in Altai region, starting to build there. And it's amazing land. We just came back from a trip there, and there's so much energy there, and so much clean feeling, you know, that it is amazing for creating such a project. And of course, it happens all over the world. And it's for a reason. That we will need these communities after some time, and it's about time to start thinking in this direction for those who feel it as their path.
So you don't see any risks with creating such communities in terms of like dividing people even more, you know? If that will be a lot of different communities, and I'm belonging to this one, so I'm like, I don't know, some name, and you belonging to another one.
Well, I don't know. Of course, there are some communities that go in more separation, who just create a huge barrier with the world and saying the world is wrong and we are right. And I'm not talking about those kind of communities. The ones that are really part of the future are the communities where they do create some level of sustainability and ability to function without the system, because that's important. But at the same time, who don't close off to the world, because you cannot be successful without interacting with the world, without sharing with the world, without bringing something from the world and also giving something to the world, you know? So I just don't believe in that kind of separation in terms of long-term success. And I see that communities that start this process of separation, they fail eventually. They all fail. So the communities that do thrive, they are the ones who are completely open to the world, who welcome people, who teach, who do courses, tours, share their gifts, create something, produce something, you know. So they are very much integrated with the world, and yet they have their own inner setup, their own teachings, or philosophy, or at least set of values. And what I saw in my vision many years ago was like every community did create certain specific, unique feeling and focus. Like in this area, people learn a certain set of skills or experiences based on the values of this community. And then they can move to another community where they can learn something else. So there is this unity, after all, between the different kinds of communities, because they all can be partners in a way.
Yeah.
So that was what I could see, that there is a friendship between them in the future, at least, not separation. But again, we have not passed the main transformation part yet. We're not there yet. And what we see now is very different than what will happen in 100 years. So we still have lessons to learn.
Okay. So you believe in community, and you see that it might be some kind of exchange of, knowledges or products, maybe something else between communities then, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's no other way. We can only survive as a group. I mean, humans cannot function without each other, and the more we share, the more we trade, the more we feel connected, the more we thrive. There is no other way. Actually, unity is one of the spiritual understandings. The higher you get up in spirituality, the more unity you feel with the whole world and the whole universe, And so then this egoistic, only my path is right, has no more room. So, and what we see now in those communities that go this more strict way is just one of the experiments, It's just experience that souls get on their path, and it's okay. And sometimes we make mistakes on our path. Sometimes we need certain experiences on our path. So that's fine. It all has a right to exist. But eventually, over time, there'll be no way for us to see that we can really thrive without unity.
Thank you very much for giving interview, and it's a pleasure for me to have you here and meet you in person. Thank you very much, Katya.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for watching this interview, and if you like that, please share with your friends, and I will be happy to see your comments.